Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, we are now going to learn about minutes of meeting. So in this lesson, we'll talk about what is minutes of meeting and how we have to write effective minutes of meeting, and we have to study some guiding principles while writing minutes of meeting. And after that, we shall have a practice on writing minutes of meeting. In fact, while being employed in a job, you have to keep record of an organization, and for that purpose minutes are very important. So it is very crucial that they should be kept accurate, because these are the legal documents of the proceedings and actions of the organization. Whatever has been decided in the meeting, that should be written in the minutes and that should be recorded. So how to write effective minutes of meeting? So why minutes of meeting are important, and what's involved with minutes, meeting minutes? So this is very important. I have told you that when an organization conducts a meeting, and after that whatever the activity was done in the meeting, that is recording in the form of a minute. So what is minute? We are going to talk about that in the coming slides. So why minutes of meeting are very important? In fact, while meeting, the boss and the employee, they discuss certain matters, they make certain decisions, motions and votes. So then they also decide next steps and plan, then identify and track other actions. So meeting outcomes impact other collaborative activities, and they can serve to notify individuals of tasks assigned to them or timelines. So whatever is decided in the meeting, that is written in the minutes of meeting, and that is recorded so that everybody should know about his responsibility or about the decisions made in the meeting. So what's involved with meeting minutes? There are essentially 5 steps. First is pre-planning, record taking at the meeting, minutes writing and transcribing, describing or sharing meeting minutes. This is very important. You have to pre-plan that what you are going to note it down, what is the subject of the meeting, and according to that you have to pre-plan. You have to, if you are given the task to write the minutes, so first while meeting you have to make the records. So after that you have to transcribe those minutes and share with all those who were attendees, and then you have to keep the record of that minutes of meeting for future reference. So let's talk about the first step, that is pre-planning. So well-planned meetings help ensure effective meeting minutes. So if the chairman and the secretary or minutes taker work together to ensure the agenda and meeting are well thought out, it makes minute taking much easier. So depending on the meeting structure, the tools you use, the minutes taken could work with the chair to create a document format that works as an agenda and minutes outline as well. So you have to pre-plan before the conduct of the meeting. So this is a checklist. So name of the meeting, date and time, exact location, list of expected attendees, expected meeting duration, clearly state objectives of the meeting, an agenda item to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, an agenda item to handle matters arising from the previous minutes, and an agenda item at the end. So each agenda should be numbered. Each agenda item should have a time allotted to it, where you have a speaker. Their name should be next to the agenda item, so they know they are running that item of the agenda. An agenda should be circulated in advance. For example, you are going to conduct a meeting related to quality assurance of your organization, and you are discuss the points pertaining to quality issues. So what you have to do, in fact, first you have to circulate the agenda that we are going to discuss quality related issues. So everybody should know about it and they should come well prepared according to that agenda. So if you'll not circulate the agenda, ultimately they'll not come well prepared with their points. And once you have decided the agenda items, so you have to discuss agenda items one by one and give them allotted time. So the whole agenda should be simple and clear for all the participants. Then comes record taking. What should be included? So before you start taking notes, once the meeting has started, you ultimately will have to start taking notes. It's important to state the type of information you need to record at the meeting. Sometimes the president or the secretary of the meeting discusses some points which are not related to the agenda. So you're not required to note down those points until and unless you are not asked to note them down, until and unless you are not advised to record them. So your organization may have required content and a specific format that you'll need to follow. In most of the organizations, they have already formatted a particular format, particular standard, and according to that they follow the meetings. So meeting minutes usually include the date, time and place of meeting, name of the presiding officer and secretary, name of the meeting participants and those unable to attend, acceptance or corrections, amendments to previous meeting minutes. So you have to mention it like this. Like if this is the for example, we are discussing and this it is going to be a faculty meeting, for example. So date, time and place of meeting, that on which date and at which time the meeting was conducted and at which place. It means that faculty office, for example, and head of department was the presiding officer. So name of the meeting and participants and unable to attend. So the third heading, you have to write it like this, that who has attended and who could not attend. Then amendments to previous minute meetings and acceptance. If it is going to be the first one, then there is no need to talk about these things. If it is going to be the second part or third part of the meeting, means that the meeting was already conducted and agenda items were already decided. So now we are going in this meeting you are going to discuss something more related to those items. So ultimately after getting the feedback, so ultimately you have to make amendments or corrections to previous meeting minutes. So minutes writing process. So while I've told you that you have to take the record, in the previous slide I told you about record taking. So while you have taken the record, so once the meeting is over, so now you will start writing the minutes. Review your outlines and ensure that all the decisions have been added, and check for sufficient detail that whatever has been discussed, all the important points that have been discussed in the meeting, you have to write them down. And it will be imperative that you should follow standard guidelines provided by your organization. So you have to incorporate all the decisions and actions and motions which are discussed in the meeting and decided. So you have to mention all those points in the minutes. In fact, this is minutes of meeting is in fact the record of all that has happened in the meeting, all that was important and that was need to be addressed, or that needed to be recorded also. So like the decisions made about each agenda item. Once you have decided the agenda, so ultimately you have to note down your points according to that agenda. So whatever has been decided, what actions, next step, voting outcomes, motions, items to be held over, new business, next meeting date and time. So you have to be objective. Keep this thing in mind while you are writing the meeting. You have to be objective. Write in the same sentence. Avoid using people's name. This is a business document, not about who said what. So you can say the president said, the secretary said, like this. So avoid information or personal observations. If you need to refer to other documents, attach them in appendix. Like if there are some other documents are required to add with this meeting, don't rewrite their intent or try to summarize them. Do not summarize them. Like if for example any important letter or any important information was sent by the headquarter from the other organization, or like that, anything related to that has been discussed in the meeting, and you need to add it, so you can add it as an appendix. What not to include: the opinion or interpretation of the secretary, discussion, whatever has been discussed. I have told you that you have to be selective, and you have to keep the record of all the important things. So like heated debate and valuable comment like this. So do not give these judgmental phrases. Do not write this. So minutes are a record of what was done at the meeting, not what was said. This is very important, that you should know that what was done in the meeting. The meeting was called for any particular agenda, and what was decided there, or what was done there, not what was said. So everybody can say anything in the meeting, discuss their issues, but what was decided or what was done, and they also come with their feedback. Name of second is unnecessary. So once you are done with writing minutes of meeting, then you must distribute or share meeting minutes, so that the receiver should come to know what actions he has to perform after this meeting, and you have to keep the record of that meeting also. But before distributing, make sure that the chairman has reviewed and revised the approved minutes for circulation. So without his approval, do not circulate it. There is no need to note every word. Just keep record as follows: names of everyone who was there, key decisions made, actions agreed, and next steps. These are the things which are necessary to be recorded in the minutes of meeting, and you have to record them as an official document, so that it would later be discussed, especially while formulating the next meeting. So findings: storage of meeting minutes. Most committee and boards review, either approve or amend the minutes at the beginning of the subsequent meeting. Once you've made any required versions, the minutes will then need to be stored for future reference. So you can keep them recorded. You can say that in the both forms, whether in the form in the hard copy, or you can save them in Google Drive or SkyDrive. So anyway, it depends upon the requirement of the organization. So attachments: approval, signature, minutes book, and copies. This will be the format. Standard minute template. So now we are going to look at the standard minute template. Please note that since the format, style, and content requirements for meeting varies depending on organization. So this is the standard: time, date, and venue, attendees, and apologies from absentees, key outcomes from the meeting discussions. So this is example of minutes format. Name of organization, purpose of meeting, date, time, chair. So topic: what were the topics? 1, 2, 3. What was the discussion? What was the action taken? And who is responsible? So this would be the best way to record all the entire activity of the meeting. So this is a format in MS Word minutes meeting template software. So you can follow this format also if your organization didn't have. Usually all the organizations have their own formats, so you have to follow that one. But if you don't have, then you can seek the help from MS Word meeting minutes template. So there are different ways to conduct a meeting, like problem solving in circle table, training in rectangular table, then decision making in U table. So this is all about minutes of meeting, and if you have any question you can ask me.